Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful books ever written, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And what's just incredible is that Frankl wrote the first draft in only 9 days. He was driven to show that life can have meaning even in the absolute worst conditions you can possibly imagine. So, let's walk this path together and uncover Frankl's roadmap for finding purpose no matter the odds.
This one quote, which Frankl mentioned all the time, is basically the key that unlocks his entire philosophy. It's the idea he clung to through the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, and it's the bedrock of his whole theory. It really just asks one simple question: what is your why?
Now, to really get Frankl's answer, we have to understand the world that created it. I mean, this wasn't some philosophical theory he cooked up in a comfortable study. This was a truth he discovered in a place designed for the sole purpose of crushing the human spirit.
When he got to Auschwitz, this is what Viktor Frankl became. He wasn't a respected doctor anymore, not a husband, not a person. He was just a number, permanently tattooed onto his skin. This was the very first step in a cold, systematic process of erasing every single piece of who he used to be.
Everything was taken from him: his papers, his wedding ring. But for Frankl, the most devastating loss was a manuscript, a book that held his entire life's work. He tried to explain how important it was to a guard who just sneered and said one word: shit. In that exact moment, Frankl said he felt like he had to strike out his whole former life.
You know, even as a prisoner, Frankl the psychiatrist couldn't just switch his brain off. He was constantly observing, and he came to this profound realization: when you're in a situation that is completely insane, the only sane response is an abnormal one.
Frankl basically mapped out the psychological journey every prisoner went on, and he broke it down into 3 distinct phases. First, there's the initial shock of arrival. Third is the long, difficult road back to life after liberation. But it's that second phase, apathy, that is absolutely crucial for understanding how anyone could survive from one day to the next.
This apathy, it was a kind of emotional death. It was a necessary way to numb all your feelings. To survive the constant threat of death, the starvation, the beatings, you had to stop feeling it all. It was, as Frankl put it, a protective shell you had to build around yourself.
This quote just nails the chilling reality of that apathy. Frankl remembers this one time when a body was being dragged away right past him, its head gruesomely bumping on the steps. And what was he doing? He was just sipping his watery soup, and with a kind of detached curiosity, he noticed that he felt nothing at all.
And here's such a key insight into what pain really is. Frankl realized that the physical pain of a beating often hurt less than the mental agony of the insult, the sheer injustice of it all. It was the pain of being treated like an animal, not a human being.
But it was right here, at this absolute rock bottom, in this place of total degradation, that Frankl made a discovery that would literally change psychology forever. He found the one thing, the only thing, that they could never take away.
This was the big question. When your name, your job, your family, your health, your dignity, when it's all stripped away, what's left? Is there anything that is truly, unshakably yours?
The answer came from just watching people. He saw proof of this freedom in the actions of a few. He saw men who, despite being starved and suffering themselves, still chose to comfort someone else or to give away their very last piece of bread. They proved that a choice was always, always possible.
And here it is. This is the heart of the entire book. The point is this: your circumstances can take almost everything from you, except for one thing: the freedom to decide how you will respond. Your attitude, your inner reaction, that is yours and yours alone.
So what Frankl concluded was that the camps didn't make a person into something they weren't. Instead, they just revealed who that person had already decided to be. It was the inner decision, not the outer conditions, that really defined them. This powerful realization, discovered in the darkest corners of human experience, actually became the foundation for a whole new school of psychotherapy that Frankl would go on to create after the war.
He called it Logotherapy. Logos is the Greek word for meaning, and the central idea is simple but revolutionary. The primary driving force for us as humans isn't the search for pleasure or power, but the search for meaning. We all have a will to meaning.
And this really set him apart from the giants like Freud. See, Freud thought our problems came from a frustrated will to pleasure. Frankl came along and said, no, a lot of our modern anxieties, that feeling of emptiness, comes from a frustrated will to meaning.
So how do we find this meaning?
Well, Frankl's framework lays out three main paths. First, by creating something or doing a good deed. Second, by experiencing something beautiful or by loving another person. And third, and this is maybe the most profound one, by the attitude we choose to take towards suffering we cannot avoid.
Okay, so let's bring all of this home. Frankl's ideas aren't just for extreme situations, not at all. They are an incredibly practical guide for dealing with the challenges of our own lives. So, here's the action playbook we can take from his work.
First, find your why. The answer to the tough question, why do you not give up, reveals what's most meaningful to you. Second, practice choosing your attitude. Remember that space between what happens and how you react? That's where your power is. Third, when you face unavoidable hardship, ask what meaning you can find in it. And finally, stop aiming directly for success. Instead, aim to serve a cause or another person, and success will find you on its own.
Frankl often thought about this quote from Dostoevsky. It completely reframes how we think about suffering, doesn't it? The real tragedy isn't that we suffer, it's that we might suffer for nothing. The real challenge is to live in a way that our suffering becomes a kind of inner triumph. And that's the question Frankl's work ultimately leaves with us. Life is going to throw challenges and pain our way. That's a given. The real question isn't how we avoid it. It's how we can rise to meet it, and in doing so, become worthy of our own struggles.